Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese episode 413. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Marc Augustiniak.
What's up?
Matt Zellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games, brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. This week we're going to check in with the Back 4 Blood beta. We're going to hear about the updates to Pokémon Unite, talk about the history of corporate tie-ins to video game manufacturers and consoles and peripherals. But first, who's got ants?
Oh, I do. I'm winning that game.
Hey, congratulations, you won the ants! Everybody come down.
That and the movie Ants. No, I don't have that movie, but...
I never saw that. That was the Bug's Life ripoff, right?
Oh, yeah, that was the clear inferior...
That was the DreamWorks one, right?
Mm-hmm.
That one's a little more graphic, I feel.
They went places, is what you're saying?
I think so. I think ants die in that movie, if I remember correctly.
Ants are dying in my apartment left and right as they come near me.
You're killing George Clooney in your apartment.
Don't kill Clooney, dude.
I wanted to kill Jerry Seinfeld in B movie too, so you know.
Well, that's just how you destroy the world. You can't do that.
If Ants is the DreamWorks A Bug's Life, Mark, what is the Pixar Shrek?
Ooh. What is the Pixar Shrek? I don't know if they have one, you know? Like, I don't know if they have something like that.
The answer we're looking for is... Oh, wait, no, that's not even Pixar. That's just Disney. We have a long history of what is Pixar and what is Disney on this podcast. Go back and, I believe, 2015, there was a heated argument that I believe began before we recorded. I quickly stopped the argument so I could press record and then yell at Tyler because not all Disney movies are Pixar movies.
Correct.
They're just not. Just because they're 3D animated, if a Pixar did not work on it, then it's not a... Anyway.
You're right.
I was going to say that the correct answer is Frozen, but I guess it wouldn't be because it's not Pixar.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's... like, Pixar has to do something big to match Shrek, you know? Like, I don't know what middle school... on like last final week of school or whatever, where every classroom has a TV and Shrek is playing in each classroom because teachers are just done giving a shit. I don't know any Pixar movie that has matched that. Maybe Toy Story, but that was before Shrek.
It was, yeah, well before. Monsters, Inc.
Maybe that's a contender.
That was before I was in a public school environment, so I don't have a clear answer for that one.
I don't remember seeing Monsters, Inc. in school. I just assume that children today watch it in school. I feel like kids today just watch everything in school because they're on their phones. Are kids in school? Who knows?
Some.
I think it depends where.
Yeah. The other big question is, what are we going to do with Red Dead Redemption 2? As we discuss our game of the year, of course, our recurring segment weekly, as we rank the top 25 games that we've already ranked in the top 5 per year in our Game of the Year annual awards. This week we're talking Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a Rockstar joint. Came out
2018.
18, okay. 18 was my gut, and then I was like, was that 2019? I was like, oh, no, right. Yeah, Matt, this is the Matt show on Red Dead Redemption 2, because I don't think Mark or I have... Mark, did you ever go back and play like the multiplayer or anything?
Very, very little. Not enough to, like, I guess have a good opinion on it. But, yeah, a lot of this game, I only just, like, dipped my legs in. I didn't go in all the way.
Oh, Matt dove all the way in, got fully wet in the Red Dead Redemption 2. So come on out, Mr. Soak, and tell us about Red Dead Redemption 2. How does it hold up, or how does it in your mind's eye, looking backward?
I mean, this game is truly like a spectacle, right? Like it has that Rockstar. Like, you can do almost anything you want. It's like a sandbox, but it's not at the same time. And they tell. I think the Red Dead games do a much better job of telling a story than the Grand Theft Auto games. I feel like they don't know whether to be too serious or too funny at times. I think Red Dead finds that good line just because of the setting this is in. Although I never really touched the Red Dead Online stuff just because the GTA 5 online stuff was never my thing, and I didn't want to do it as a cowboy. But like this campaign, I can't recommend this campaign enough for anyone that's like slightly interested in playing this game. It's countless hours, almost maybe too slow of a start. I think it's become like a running joke of like, oh, the game finally starts 10 hours in after you get out of the snow, but It really doesn't open up until like the end of chapter 2, beginning of chapter 3. But man, if you can kind of get yourself through that, and I think you kind of expect that, right? Because I don't think there's a single soul that played that Red Dead game thinking it was going to be 10 hours. So I think if you kind of know the expectation of like it might be a slow build, but once you get there, you get there. It's a real good time, and I think it tells a good story. And it does a really good job of doing it despite it being open world and you having to run to the mission letter on the mini map or whatever. But I think the greatest strength of that game is its character development all around, from the bad guys to the good guys to the side characters. Everyone in that camp you kind of built a connection to, and I think I famously when I was talking about this game, went on a whole rant about me riding with the boys, going down to the old mansion to shoot up someone. But you really, like, once the game gets going and you start to learn some of these characters in Chapter 2, it really does feel like you're just kind of riding with your camp, trying to survive, trying to figure out your next move, as the law is starting to crack down across the western United States, and the outlaw game is kind of going away. But yeah, I mean, it plays like a Rockstar game. I think, it's kind of like stiff, but not stiff at the same time. There's some weird stuff with the gun controls, but, it's kind of to be expected. There's a plethora of side stuff you can do to make this game last, from a 30 to 40 hour story to a 200-hour grand adventure where you knock out everything, including the legendary hunts, all the side stuff, all the side stuff that's not connected to you going to a person to start the side stuff. The world is very interactive. I did like that whole system of you just walking up to someone and, like, you start a heist, you can interact with them. I thought that was a really cool system they put into the game there. But yeah, ultimately, I think this still resonates high for me. I just don't know how high compared to some of the stuff on this list, because one, I do think that opening thing, if you're not ready for that, it's so slow. Like, it's a crawl. And then I never played Red Dead Online. I don't know how that goes, but from what I've seen, it seems very similar to GTA Online, which I know that is. It's fun to jump in with your friends for a little bit, but it's like you grind and grind and grind to get one thing, but then when you grind for that one thing, 30 other things that have come out that you want. So it's just a way to get you to buy more what were the shark cards on GTA Online. I don't know what they are in Red Dead.
Right. The whale, yeah.
So yeah, like I don't know. I can't say for sure about that because I never played it, but I mean it seems to lean into that. I mean, but they're still pumping support for it. I think they just put in like their own version of Heist in Red Dead, actually like last month or something, if I remember correctly. So I mean, once again, they're supporting it. There's always going to be new stuff to do in that, but yeah, I kind of don't know where to put this one. I would put it probably somewhere around that Fire Emblem 3 Houses. So what's that? 7-ish, 8-ish on the list so far.
Really?
What is that a bad? Really? Like, you don't want it that high?
No.
Where do you want it?
I was thinking somewhere like below Mario Odyssey.
Really? I don't know about that.
Oh,
No, I'd rather go back into my Red Dead save right now than touch Mario again.
So I know like the online isn't that well supported on Steam at least because I keep seeing reviews about hackers, and they're just like doing nothing about it. Like, you can have a camp set up, and then as soon as you come back, it's just fucking ruined. That's just always a thing to expect. I don't know if that's because of hackers, but that's just a thing to always expect. My favorite moment in that game was I sat in like their little like penny movie theater or whatever, where it's just like slideshows. I watched the whole thing, something about a bear in the woods. And then like on my way out, this dude like bumped my shoulder. I was like, okay. So I just started like targeting him, just like staring at him as I'm walking out. We're just looking at each other while walking out of the theater. And as soon as we're out of the tent, he punches me. I was like, oh, just as I expected. And then I beat him to death. And then, people ran for the authorities, and I called my horse Pony Soprano, and we ran off.
Do they have permadeath in the online?
No.
Okay, then yeah, this goes below Super Mario Odyssey. If you told me you punched that guy, killed him in the streets, and he had to create a new character, this would have been above Tetris.
No, this was single
right?
player.
Yeah,
it was a single player.
Oh.
Yeah.
It still goes to the bottom of the list. I don't know, man. I respect it for the, technical achievement that it is. It's a me thing, man. It's fully a me thing. That was the year where I also found out, like, where I was like, maybe I'll play that Assassin's Creed that came out, and just games that are that long anymore. I like immediately just light switch goes off. So this is tough for me to rank because my gut reaction is like I would rather play every game on this list 6 times before I played Red Dead, and that's not fair to Red Dead.
But you don't really like Western games too, right?
God no. No, that's why it's bottom of the list. But this isn't my list. This is our list.
Well, I think that's the thing, right? I mean, maybe you didn't play it, but like, the old spaghetti westerns of the Clint Eastwood and John Wayne times aren't my cup of tea. But like this, Red Dead 1 got me interested. I didn't ever play Red Dead Revolver because once again, Western.
Oh, man.
Western, I in limited budgets and at that time for me, but finally playing Red Dead 1 like years after it came out. I really liked it. Really got to know John Marsden, how that story progressed, and then this. Yeah. I think one of the cool things too about the story was I did not have high expectations for the story because they did it as a prequel. You were not playing as John. You were playing as I can't think of his name
Arthur.
now. Yeah, but like prequels never like sit right, at least like on for myself. I'm like always like there's a certain connotation I put into a prequel, but like by the end of this, yes, the story was really good, but the way they developed the characters, knowing where they end up going in Red Dead 1, I thought was a cool ride to see. And I think just even knowing where they will end up in Red Dead 1, I think just seeing how it all developed was one hell of a ride, no pun intended, but like I did not expect this game to be as good as it was at the storytelling aspect because we already had the expectation of where all the characters kind of end up in Red Dead 1. So I think just from the story, like forgetting like the whole rocks, like the Marc thing is what I'm talking about, that Rockstar polish, right? Like in that sandbox, it isn't a sandbox. Like yeah. He just did a side thing to watch movies, which you didn't even have to sift through the movie or whatever, but he decided to. It's there. And then he just gets out and just punches a dude and rides away on his pony that he named Pony Soprano.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's something that only a few different games, I think, kind of let you get away with or let you do in this era, at least at a competent level. So
yeah, it's very Hitman-esque in that way.
Yeah, so I think it's like I think from one, the technical level, but two, the storytelling within it. I mean, like I said, I don't think it goes above Splatoon 2. It might not go over Fire Emblem, but that's the thing with me and Fire Emblem, right? Like, I just can't get myself into a Fire Emblem game. They're cool. They seem to be up my alley. Like, I'm not the biggest grid turn-based person, but, like, you know, turn-based RPGs are kind of becoming my thing here in recent times, and I just can't get myself into a Fire Emblem game. So, like, I kind of understand that argument, too.
Do you think this goes above or below Fire Emblem?
I think Fire Emblem has more potential for crazy things to happen, just based on what you said and what I know of that game and the way you... I think the RPG mechanic of building your school is a cool mechanic. Red Dead, I mean, for all the side stuff it is, it's kind of you know what you're getting with that game. And while Celeste is a very tight, neat, and hard experience that's like right up my alley, I do think that the grand, technical, spectacular, I think this is where one of those things where, like, I think just the genre and the budget and the sheer amount of effort that went into Red Dead 2 just kind of goes above it. And that's not Celeste's fault. It's just the way it is.
Mark, you feel good about Red Dead between Fire Emblem and Celeste?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Even though I never played Fire Emblem, I do still have like, I can see myself probably putting, oddly enough, I can see myself probably putting more time into Fire Emblem than Red Dead at this point. At least the second Red Dead, because I'm always gonna love the first one. I'm attached to John Marston's character more than Arthur Morgan. But yeah, so I never watched the intro to Three Houses until recently. Like, holy shit, like that beginning fight, I was amazed by that. Like, I wanted that to be like a whole like movie. That's not the reason I'd put under.
Because honestly, like, I remember starting Red Dead 2 and like the walk through the snow was like, whoa, a PS4 is doing this?
Yeah. But yeah, it's just the way I feel right now. I like where it's at.
Well, we're locked in then. Stay tuned for next week where we review another game from the last 5 years and set it in the rank. But right now we're talking about Dark Souls. Specifically, the way I've approached Dark Souls, I am incredibly pleased with. I sit down when I decide it's a Dark Souls night. It doesn't have to be a Dark Souls night. That's the beauty of this. I think of the minimum and maximum number of times that I want to attempt a boss fight. Then I ask Siri to pick a number between those two numbers, and that's how many times I try the boss fight. And if I don't get it, I walk away. And it's worked all week long. I always kind of want to go back for more, but I'm never like, you know what I mean? I never feel like, well, that was the one, because it's always going to be that was the one, right? If you're not defeating a boss. But as I'm doing it, I'm learning more about the boss itself. I'm learning more about the mechanics of the game. And this week I got to a point where I made it through some areas that started to connect back to older areas, and then kind of like re-emerging to those places. I'm like, oh my God, I got you. Stab. Like, I'm just destroying things now because I'm probably too overconfident, but it's what I like about Dark Souls is just you get lost on purpose to find your way. And it's like working out, you know, like you're not going to just work out today and then all of a sudden see the results, right? It's time, it's discipline, it's things like that before you start to see change. So I've also made a list here of things that Dark Souls can make you better at. I'll read them out real quick for you because I think that if you get good with Dark Souls, if you learn Dark Souls, you can also do these things pretty well. Growing a mullet, baking a cake without a recipe, parenting, learning Italian, reading Dune, watching Dune, actually finding something worthwhile in a Goodwill, signature forgery, belief that you can perform telekinesis. It's all about overcoming the impossible and expanding the limits of your own mind, right? That's Dark Souls in a nutshell. So if you can do Dark Souls, you can do any of those things and probably anything else that you believe in enough.
Does that include Dark
and
Souls
I love
too?
Dark Souls for that. Yeah, you could probably beat Dark Souls too if you, in time, right? But that's been working for me really, really well. And I've been having a good time with Dark Souls. It's like, it doesn't feel like this whatever. I'm not like, I've definitely gone into games like this where I have this sort of like dread where I'm like, oh, I'm never going to get through this, or, oh, I'm never going to find the way. Or, and even last night, as soon as things opened back up again, I'm like, oh, crap, do I go that way or this way? Or that? I should go down there because I know there's something down there, but I could probably go that way. It's like, that's where I'm at now. And, it's easy to fall into that, like, oh no, what do I do now? But if you just kind of let it be, just let yourself wander, I think you'll find your way. Like Turtle Rock. They wandered a bit. They kind of went into Valve, not really, and kind of out of Valve, went to make Evolve, and then they're back.
That game evolved out of evolving, and
they're back for Blood now. And Mark, you've played the beta for... At the time of this recording, the beta has been live for about a day. You've been playing for about 72 hours, from my understanding.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so last Thursday it went live, and if you're listening to this recording on the day it released, this is the last day of the early access beta. And then if you want access to the open beta, you can wait till this coming Thursday, from 12th to the 16th. But yeah,
I thought it was Friday, not Thursday. My bad.
That's all consoles, right? No, Xbox and PC, right?
No, all consoles. Well, I mean, not Switch, but I've been cross playing with Xbox and PlayStation players simultaneously. Works pretty well. So yeah, the first interesting thing, because I'm playing on Steam with this, I just had to wait for Steam to update like the beta file to pop into my library, like around like 3 p.m. or something. And like, I get welcome to this menu to like, I guess to help like set up everything before playing the game. I guess it's like just for like accessibility reasons for the most part. But the first thing I hear is like this like automated voice telling me to either click or hit spacebar to sign in or something. I'm like, okay. Like it sounded like a text-to-speech thing was turned on or something. So I go into the settings and like it's all turned off, but this robot's still talking. I'm like, okay, so I go through everything, set up the audio, set up the visuals, pick what controls I'm mainly playing with, and takes me back out, tells me to sign in. Couldn't sign in for like a good 10 minutes or so. Something was failing with like it said like profile maintenance mode was failing. So, but I just had to wait a bit and it fixed itself. So there was a good moment where I just thought I just wasn't going to be able to play it.
Was that just everyone trying to log in at one time, you think?
I think so.
I mean, that's what happened to me with Modern Warfare that night. I tried to play at midnight, so I'm not... I mean, even big server-based games like that, I think even had their issues. So yeah, that's probably what you ran into.
Yeah. Let's see here. So I try to jot some notes down for this. So the first thing you get introduced to is this hub world. There's not really a menu, like, you hit start and it doesn't take you right to a menu to pick what game mode you want to jump into. You go into a hub world, and this looks like a like a little like fortified like camp area. You can talk to a couple of the characters in here. There's like a shooting range area where you can try out all the weapons, just to see how everything works and just kind of figure out what you feel comfortable with for the most part. But at any point, like you don't have to talk to a character to initiate like the campaign or another mode. At any time, you can just like go like, I guess for a controller you would hit start or options or something. But for me, I just hit tab and I can do anything from that menu. So it's kind of its own separate thing at any time. You can you can pick what character you want to run around the hub world with. It doesn't. So if you want to get a feel for like what they do, because each character has their own. They're called cleaners in this. They each have their own like little perks. Nothing too major, but like it's like I think each one starts with like a secondary weapon. So I was usually this character named Evangelo. He usually starts with a machete and a Molotov. And I think he has better stamina than most of the other characters. So I kind of just went for that. But
So, yeah, Left 4 Dead was always something that had defined characters, and they kind of like hammed it up in terms of like, you know, they were actors in a movie, right? Not literally, but like so this one you're still playing as preset characters. You're not customizing your character at all, or can you customize them?
Visually, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, like the characters, like they're not as stand outish as they would be like probably in a Valve game, because I think Valve takes a pretty good job with building characters and personality. I mean, it's not to say it's not here. It just kind of gets lost a little bit, but that's okay. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But you will find that in this hub world, you'll see that you have an in-game currency called supply points. And these accumulate when you're doing your runs in the campaign. And you use those supply points for these things called supply lines. And it almost looks like a battle pass, but it's not a battle pass. Like there'll be a chain of things to unlock with these points, and you know, in order to get the next one, you have to get the previous one. So you have to go through this straight line.
So it's a battle pass.
Like, but yes and no. Yes.
Is it like the Halo one?
It's not even like a season thing, you know what I mean? Like it's just a very short, like 10 item thing where like you can get different like sprays, because you like Left 4 Dead, you can like spray paint like a tag on the ground or anywhere. You can get different cards for your deck, and it's usually just that stuff. And then once you complete a supply line, more will pop up that you can choose from to keep putting points into. So it's kind of just a way to get special cards.
Just long-term level, or long-term like player progression.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not a set. Do these things 1 through 100, and then hurry up and finish before October.
No. Yeah, you're not timed on any of it. They won't change. They will always be there. At least for this beta, that's what it's been.
Sure.
So like,
and
that's
does beta
cool.
progress carry into the full game?
No.
Okay.
Which I was like a little bummed about, but I understand it, because this is probably the time where they want to tweak and change things, and
yeah.
So I get it. But that's cool.
They probably put that stuff in there so they can see how balanced and how fast people are getting, so they can refine that too.
Yeah. The card system I actually ended up liking a lot. It's not as daunting or weird as I thought it was gonna be. It's pretty simple. They give you like this little starter deck to go with. I think you can have 15 cards in a deck. But like, for anybody who's like, ugh, cards, don't even think about it as cards. Think about it as just think about it as perks that you're adding to your character throughout your run. And you just get to randomly choose what perks you want to add between each level. And sometimes the same card will pop up, and that's fine because it stacks.
Do the cards burn? So like, can you just kind of keep spamming them, or like will they go back into the deck, or will they like be, once you use one of your 15, you're now down to 14?
So whenever you are about to start a map, it will tell you in the beginning what your corruption cards are, and these are basically, hey, here are the obstacles, or here's your clearing conditions to get whatever reward is in this for you. Like if you want to get extra in-game currency, that's copper. Hey, if you don't disturb any crows throughout this whole map, you will get an extra 500 copper. That's a corruption card, so like that's like an obstacle to deal with. You can still succeed by, fucking with the crows. You just won't get that extra.
Yeah, there is secondary objectives.
Copper. Yes. And then there's a card in your deck. It's always at the number one card in your deck is always your starter card. That is the only one that cannot stack. Like you will never find it again in your deck. That one will always be there in the beginning. But you can make that whatever. Now, and after your starter card is shown, you now get the pick out of like 4 or 5 cards that get handed to you at random, which one you want to pick for this run, or like for this map. Now they don't go away. You don't burn them. They stay in your deck forever. Nothing depletes because you can find that same card again in the next map, and you can just choose to stack that on. So like, if I picked a card that gave me 20% stamina, and then I clear that map, I go into the next map, I get to pick another card. Oh, there's that 20% stamina card again. Boom, slap it on. Now I have 40% stamina. So that's cool. They are reusable. You don't have to worry about losing them ever. I really like that. And it does kind of help you pick and choose what you want to prioritize as you're going throughout this, because like a Left 4 Dead typical campaign is like maybe 4 or 5 levels. This is 8.
And how many can you play through in the beta?
It's just this one campaign.
Okay.
But it's I forget how they exactly labeled it. Shit. I think it's, yeah. So it's like it's separated into like 2 acts, but it's all one continuous thing. So,
okay.
So like Act 1 is 4 levels, Act 2 is 4 levels.
And in the beta you can play through Act 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So like I've been trying to like play through the whole thing, because once you get far enough, you can start at any point throughout the campaign if you want. The downfall of that is you're not going to have as many cards stacked on you, so your loadout isn't going to be as great. So there's incentive to keep wanting to start over from the beginning if you want a good loadout by like the end of it. And I've only beaten this once, just because like it's either been tough or I've had teammates just drop out and I played with bots and the bots aren't that great. But yeah.
You feel like there's good replayability to it? Like you actively want to play it again?
Yes. I mean, I would replay it like maybe a couple times in one sitting, then take a break, walk away from it, come back. I'm like, all right, I'm still itching. Like I want to do this. So the cool thing, so on top of the card picking before you even start the damn map, you get thrown into the first safe room. And there's a little timer. There's like a 3-minute timer, because that gives everybody time to, pick their cards and go in before the game actually starts. So like nobody can like open the safe door and like start the game without you until everyone is in. So that's cool. But in every safe room now, there are these orange crates, and that's like your shop for your character. And like everyone has access to it, but I think everyone has different like this is where you can buy like first aid kits, you can buy team wide perks, not just perks for yourself if you want. You can buy individual ammo for your guns. And there's always 2 guns and 2 gun attachments in your shop that you can also purchase if you'd like to. The only thing about that part is I don't know if that part is custom to each player or if everyone sees the same exact layout in there. But that's in every safe room, so that's cool. So like throughout all the copper you gain between each level, you can put that right in there. Be like, all right, what do I want to get? That also kind of helps you prioritize what is important to you and for the team. but you don't really spend a lot of time on that either, which I think is really good. Because there's only so much you can do in there with how much copper you have. And then you can finally start going through the map. And that's where scavenging starts to become second nature. You know, you're finding copper pieces everywhere. And the cool thing about that is it's shared collecting. So you don't have to worry about somebody hoarding all the copper. So if I'm picking it all up, we're all getting it. And the spending is separate. That's not collected either. So that's really good.
Yeah, that's how you do a co-op game.
And like throughout the map, you will find more crates, more weapon crates. And
they're just weapons, or they're card weapons?
These are weapons.
Okay.
But you can sometimes find like this like intel folder that might be somewhere in the map, and you can get a random card from that.
Okay.
Now, those don't go into your deck permanently. It just gets added to you for this run that you're doing.
Duration. That's cool.
Yeah.
So that starts to lend itself to the replayability where like you're gonna have a different experience each time.
Yeah, and then
yeah.
I was just with that part. You can find other like intel like boxes where you can pay a little extra to get like a good card like added to you. But I don't really recommend that, honestly. What were you about to ask?
How does this like overall differ or change from Left 4 Dead?
So I think this is more fleshed out. I think Left 4 Dead, as much as I appreciate that game, I don't want to use it as like a slight against it either, but Left 4 Dead has a very simple approach to it. And it's just like, you can just get into that game, understand what it is from the start, and you got it. Like, you get what it is every time. You pick a primary weapon, you run through, fight special infected, you kind of learn how they all work, and then, boom, done. And, stick together, obviously. This still has that, but I think it adds so much more challenge to it along the way and keeps it interesting every time, because that also isn't always the same. I mean, the map layout is always the same, but the things that are in it will change, and not every door will always be the same door you can open. Sometimes they're boarded up, sometimes you can go through them. So, I mean, it changes up a little bit, but not too much, but it's still... I feel like it still keeps the Left 4 Dead structure, but doesn't get in the way of that at all by adding these bells and whistles to it. I think it only enhances it more. Gives you a little more meat to chew on.
With the card...
You feel like...
with like the card system and the fact that you're acquiring cards to add to your stack, is there a sense of like... This is more like a meta question, I guess, but like, is there a sense if you don't have a card by a certain chapter or whatever, like you abandon the run because you don't have you don't have the perks necessary to kind of get you through the tougher parts?
No. I mean, I personally haven't ran into that, because not only do the cards that you pick matter, but as you're finding crates throughout the maps, you are finding different weapons and different weapon attachments that can also alter how you play. And the weapons in this game kind of do, I guess a lot of games do this now, but like there's a color grade system. Really, gray is basic, then green, blue, purple.
How about
yellow?
Gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't.
The old legendary.
I haven't run into any yellows, I think. But in this game, I think purple is the highest. And with that, like, any gun can have any attachment. So yes, you could have a shotgun with a sniper rifle scope. If it means with like 4 times zoom, you don't have to use it, but it will add to your firepower if you just shoot from the hip. You don't have to zoom in, but
yeah,
if you want that extra firepower, you could just slap that on there.
Is it shooting slugs?
Depends on the shotgun.
I mean, because if you have a sniper scope on a shotgun that shoots slugs, that thing has range on it.
Yeah, I mean,
talking for Call of Duty experience, of course. But yeah, saying.
Yeah, but but yeah, like, so there's different like magazine clips that can change up how your gun works. There are different I don't know what the back of a gun is called. The butt of the gun, like the
stock.
Shoulder.
The stock, yes. Yeah, like that part you can change. You can change the bullet type in the gun, and then these all alter the stats, and you get to look at it almost kind of like typical like any game that has like comparison with numbers like green and red. It'll tell you, you know, what it's advancing in, what it's decreasing in comparison to what you're currently holding. So, and then like, so it's probably best to like stick to a certain type of gun from the beginning if you want to see that advance further. But hey, if there's a situation where like you don't have the ammo for this anymore because everybody is using shotguns as well, so you need to switch up and use like a machine gun or something, you can still find better weapons throughout later in the game. It's all random, so that just adds to the beauty of that, like combining that with your cards, because you might have cards that that support a specific gun. Not from the start, but eventually you will find stuff like that. Like you'll be 20% better if you're using a shotgun or something like that.
Correct me if I'm...
Overall, do you feel like it's hitting the Left 4 Dead? Like, is this what you've been waiting for? Is kind of my ultimate question.
So far, yes. I think it has potential to be more than what it is currently. But as a whole, just like as a game concept, I am enjoying this quite well.
Do you think it'd be better if one of you played as a big monster and then the other 4 were up against you as the big monster?
Well, there is PvP. You can be special infected, or the ridden, as they call them.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can
they're not zombies. They don't call them zombies?
I think... I don't know about the common infected.
Okay.
They still might be zombies, but just the more special infected ones.
Sure.
They're called ridden. There are
the witch back?
No.
They really don't have anything
so far.
like that? All right.
So, well, before getting into that, Matt, did you think you were about to ask?
No, I just wanted to ask, like, I don't know how much you play with like actual like friends or whatever for a true co-op experience, but I mean, like, and it's tough with the randoms, but like you said that the characters have their own like different traits to begin with, right? So does that? I mean, I'm assuming that lends into what kind of role they end up having. But like, do you maybe see like a lot of like certain? Not everyone's trying to go for this all around approach, like, but like someone's gonna be like, all right, when the horde comes, this is the dude that's up front. Like, kind of, is there a sense like you can build your characters in that way to kind of like have this like. Not everyone's an all around and can clear zombies, but like there's a role for each person depending on the situation once you start to play this game enough.
I think almost every character, from what I can tell, has the ability to kind of be whoever you want them to be without much penalty or whatever. Like there's a character that's called Mom, and she starts off, her secondary weapon is a sawed-off shotgun that shoots both shells at once, and you have to reload it every time. It can get annoying. You can drop that gun, but it's cool to start with at least. But one of her coolest perks, it has a cooldown, but she can instantly revive somebody if they've fallen. And so instead of like holding in the interact button, waiting for that bar to fill up, it's just boom, you're up. All right, let's go. But then that has to, that's a cooldown, so you have to wait for that. So even though she has that perk to pick up somebody, she could probably be wherever, depending on your weapons and cards.
Dibs on Mom, then. Port this guy.
Go for it. I found for me, like, stamina and speed seems to be my playstyle currently. So I just wanted the more stamina, the better, because swinging melee weapons use stamina. And with running and everything, I just wanted to always be able to have like some kind of breath left in me. So that's usually why I pick Evangelo, because I think he starts off with like a little extra more stamina than everyone else from the start. But you could also just play your cards right and have somebody have better stamina than him, probably. So that's cool about the flexibility of that game.
Yeah.
But for the Ridden, so far, I mean, we didn't get to see all of them in this beta. I think we only get to see like maybe 3-4 types, and each type has subtypes to them, like 2 subtypes each. So you got your tall boys. That's officially what they're called, tall boys. They're like, yeah, they're like 8 feet and one huge ass arm that looks like a club. And
okay.
You have and then the 2 variants of that is your bruiser and your crusher. And the difference really is like basically where their weak spots are at on them to shoot. So like any game, shoot the glowy spot to do the most damage. Sometimes it's on that shoulder, sometimes it's their head. But yeah, they will run at you and just keep beating you until you're down. You have your stinger, which is kind of like the hunter/spitter hybrid in this game. They have like 4 arms, they can jump around on walls, and they just fucking hawk phlegm at you, can get you stuck, and like a friend has to like bash you to like free you. Because in Left 4 Dead, you can shove, right? They can shove enemies away. This, their shoving is like punching if you don't have a melee weapon. So it's weird. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Evangelo has that perk where he can like free himself instantly from one of those things. So nobody has to.
So if your friends are trapped, you have to punch them.
Yes, for the most part.
Cool.
And then you have your Reeker, which is like a charger/boomer. If you ever ran into those, except when they explode, it hurts. You don't just get covered in bile and whatever. And then there is one mini boss, which is the ogre. You run into that in like the second map of this game.
They need a witch, dude. They need that character just off to the side, and it's like, do you fuck with it or no?
Yeah, so on their website, there's still like 4 or 5 blank slots for Ridden.
All right, good.
But that's like
time to redeem themselves.
That's one of the best moments of Left 4 Dead. It's like you're kind of, you're with your buddies, you're going through and you're having a good run. And it's like, do we fuck with it or nah?
And I did get to manage to play like a little bit of like true co-op with some friends. It was 3 of us total, and we just had like a rando as a 4th. Though their first time, they decided to play on a harder difficulty, which I don't recommend. But we got through we didn't get halfway, but we learned. But even that, it was still cool. It was still fun to just see how everything works and try to understand it. You still have your writings on the walls, typical Left 4 Dead style. They're probably not as doesn't stand out as much to me. The Ridden, I don't think they have like social cues. They usually each have like Left 4 Dead. They have their little jingles or little sound you hear in the distance, like, oh, yep, that's a boomer. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a smoker. This doesn't really have that at the moment, or at least I just haven't noticed it.
I wonder if that's intentional. Like they wanted to kind of shift it so that you're caught off guard.
Maybe because like when hordes happen, they happen, and usually in Left 4 Dead, I'm able to notice when special infected spawn. It's usually in groups of 3, and they'll come in like a second after another, or something like that. This, you can have like 5 or more Ridden probably at once, and they do not give a fuck. Like, you can just have like 4 tall boys running at you, and it's like, all right, I guess we're doing this. You just got to deal with it. Yeah.
Nice.
I think
so. That runs through today, and then open beta Thursday for another 4 days, 5 days maybe.
The 12th to 16th. So
yeah. And then it's out. Is that these are the only betas they're doing, and then it's out October?
As far as I'm aware of, yes. And then I believe October 21st, I think it comes out officially.
And this is Game Pass, right?
It is Game Pass, yeah. I've already got the little icon on my thing to like pre-install as it becomes available.
Yeah, but so far for a beta, it's pretty solid.
Nice.
Hasn't really been too buggy in my opinion. It's been a little bit rubber banding, but that's to be expected. They want to test servers.
Yeah, that's what.
But
this
overall,
is for, ultimately,
I think they have something here. I think they're doing a good job.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad that it happened because I know people have been waiting for Left 3 Dead for a very long time. It seems like it's happened. It's also happened this week that Gengar got nerfed. Is my understanding here? So
Sure
we have here in
did.
the show notes. The Pokemon Company announced an update for August 4th for Pokemon Unite that would nerf and buff a total of 12 Pokemon in the game. Additionally, there was a spectator mode announced that would run until August 6th. Did you get a chance to look at that at all?
Yeah, I
Spectator mode?
did. I'll go into it here in a second, but unless you want to go now.
I mean, is it good, bad? I want to give you the floor to praise the changes of the game, but the spectator mode specifically, is that kind of like it is in Dota?
It needs work, but if this is in beta, I think they wanted to start to test some things. Dota's been doing it for so long. They've been adding to the spectator stuff, so you can find on the fly graphs and things like that. And this one is very bare bones. The cool thing though is if someone's you can get in from the start. You can get in when they're 5 minutes into the match, and you can do some catching up or whatever. They have speed toggles for that kind of stuff. I think you can do a free camp. You can also just follow along any of the Pokemon. The cool thing is you can, unlike the regular game, you actually can see the score. So that way you're kind of
cool.
Always aware of what's going on there. You can see the Pokemon levels and the amount of the Aeon energy that they're holding currently. But some of the stuff that Dota does a little bit better in their spectator mode. Once again, I'm going to preface this again. They've been doing this for years. You can see the builds of the heroes. In this, you can't really see which direction they went on their moveset. You just kind of have to figure that out as you start using their moves and stuff like that. As well as just there's just a couple other things that I think it could use, but I've used it because I wanted to see what a Wigglytuff game looked like at a higher level, just to try to get some pointers and maybe how to play the Pokemon. And it works. It's there. Like I said, it's bare bones, but you can definitely watch. They have it sorted in a way of top ranked players, and I think you can search. So Joe, if I don't think you're ever going to do this, but if I was playing, you could search for me and see what whatever. So
would it auto queue if you just kept jumping into games? Could I just kind of stay watching you? Or?
I don't think it's going to work like that. But Dota's doesn't really even do that either. Once you get out of the game, you're back to the menu and just kind of have to wait for that person, if you're following that person, to jump back in. So that way, it mimics Dota as well. I mean, with Dota, with the games being 40 minutes, there's a little bit more investment in this. And maybe this, I don't know how they would do that. Because, if they leave the lobby, I don't know how they would do that. But,
yeah.
But yeah, no, they give you some search options. They have some suggestions. I think you can search by Pokemon as well if you want to. So, it's bare bones, but it works, and it's kind of cool to hop in just to kind of see someone else play. That's not a dumb. It's your content cowboy on YouTube. It's that's an actual thing that I've sadly have watched as I try to do my homework on this game. It's not fun.
I don't. That's
so
they've got you doing homework on this game.
Oh,
you've had to, it seems, because a bit of the meta has shifted as characters were upgraded, downgraded, moved, changed, modified.
I'm gonna say this, and I don't think I ever say this about meta changes. They did it.
No,
they did it.
No way.
It is a healthy-ish meta right now.
Interesting.
It's just my guy got fucking nerfed, and my rank is whoo, as I try to relearn all the other Pokemon that I've not played.
So you can lose rank. I did not realize that.
Yes, the way they do it, so say you're veteran class 2 or whatever, and you're at you have no of those little gold little check marks in your
Yeah.
like this is your dereg game. If you have enough of that meter that you get for winning rank games, you can drain that meter to prevent the dereg. But if you don't have that meter because you've been using it too much, you will come down.
So it's like the cracks in the meter in Splatoon.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So
Gotcha.
So yeah. I've kind of found my spot again at veteran class 3, but like I was about to go class 5 veteran before the nerf.
Do you feel like other people are like learning and getting better as you are playing at higher rank?
Absolutely
like,
not.
Are people? Okay.
If
Do you feel like you're getting better and learning more as you go higher?
Yes, I am. I'm learning like how to more quickly farm, like the little details that can get you a level above something. Like you start to understand that, and like how important it is to race to level 3. It sounds dumb, but if you race to level 3 and get there before someone else, it's just in that dumb little path, like you have an advantage in a way once you learn like your second move. So there is, the little fine details you're starting to learn. But no, if Victoria was here, she could echo the amount of times I yell on my TV, how the fuck am I veteran whatever, and we don't know that we have to go to the fucking Zapdos with 2 minutes left. I still don't understand that. The Dreadnought.
Do you think that's stuff that they should surface as part of a tutorial? Or like a main thing, like a tips menu or something like that?
Well, I mean, they did stress it in the tutorial that like Zapdos is important.
Fair.
I just don't think people realize how important it is. But I've seen, so they did not nerf Zapdos. Zapdos is exactly the same. They just did character related things. The map is not the map has not changed. The timing has not changed. Like none of that changed. It's just character stats and the way some moves work. But I mean, I have seen strategies around Zapdos shift. It usually turns into a team fight around the Zapdos, and then whoever takes it, of course, wins the game. But I've also seen kind of like poke, like these weird poke and bait plays where as the Zapdos is coming up with like 10 seconds or so, a team will go and take Rotom to make you make a decision. Like, do you care about one gate being open or the Zapdos? And sometimes with the lack of communication, the team splits to make an easy team fight at Zapdos. So I've been seeing some weird strategies where, like, at the 2-minute mark, it's not just two teams meeting. They'll eventually meet there. It's just a matter of when and how. And sometimes when you
got there first.
And sometimes when you're up big, it's not about hitting the Zapdos because you don't want to help them get a steal, right? It's about defending it and just getting them into weird team fight situations where it's like 3v1s, 4v2s, that kind of thing. And you just leave the Zapdos up and you just kind of make sure no one's kind of poking at your goals and you win the game that way. But once again, it's all centered around Zapdos. And like, it's still weird that, 8 minutes into the game, yes, you have the level advantage. There's things you can do to kind of get yourself ready for Zapdos or better prepare than the other team, but it still is all coming down to those final 2 minutes. And I just don't think that's good for the game. When he goes to the subreddit, everyone's complaining about the Zapdos. So, I think they're going to address it at some point. I would talk last week about, I think, some ways they could address it, but yeah. But as far as like the characters themselves, I think they actually have a decent, potentially healthy meta right now. I'm sure it could, as we start to shake things out, we'll maybe need some tweaks here and there, but I've seen a couple like tier list guides, and it's not an easy like, all right, this one's the S tier, this one's the A tier. I've seen changes depending on like who is creating the tier list and what they've been seeing and stuff. So it's interesting, to say the least. I've been I still use Eldegoss, but the shield, that cotton shield thing got a real big nerf. I think the cooldown on it is now like 2 or 3 seconds longer than it was, which means you can probably only use it once in a team fight as opposed to 2 times, and potentially 3 times if your second one makes the fight last long enough. So I still use the Pokemon. It's just it's an adjustment on how to use them. I've been going to Lucario a little bit more. I've been doing a little bit more practice. I think I'm getting better, but I'm still just a better support character. I'm absolutely terrible at Wigglytuff. Mr. Mime is weird. I can't figure him out. I've been using a little bit more Snorlax. Snorlax has that big shield, and I've been kind of using that as like that giant Reinhardt shield support thing at times. He is really good to like use his body slam that does that stun, and then getting behind and using the shield and just kind of pushing them back into your team, not allowing them to retreat to go back to their goal to heal up or whatever. So I've been playing a little bit more Lucario and Snorlax. I've been trying a couple of the other Pokemon. It's my first time playing with them, so I'm at a disadvantage already at the rank I'm at.
When you practice, do you do ranked still, or do you go to
sometimes
quick play? Or
if I'm like interested in Pokemon, I will do the regular standard mode. But sometimes I don't have a choice because it's not a good build to do two supports. I think two supports on a team I think you're just asking for a loss. And then Lucario is still a powerful Pokemon, so he gets picked. Snorlax is also a powerful Pokemon. He gets picked. So like if I'm not quick to the punch, I'm kind of forced to use a Pokemon. I don't know. And that's where I've been doing some experiments with like Cinderace and some of the other attack Pokemon. But yeah, I just, once again, it's a personal problem because my main got nerfed. But I do think that we've had some healthy changes. Now I just need to do something with the Zapdos, and we got something special. We got something real special. But the spectator mode makes me happy because that could potentially lead to more interest in tournament watching and all that stuff down the road. So I think they're putting legs on this game, and it's good to see.
Why not play Dota?
I think this is more approachable. I think what happens here, right? Like you have the Pokemon crowd, you grab them. It's free to play, especially when it comes to mobile. You get some of that Fortnite free money, especially on iOS because they don't have Fortnite anymore. And I just think one is approachable, two is quick. And Dota, one, that's on PC, so you're gonna have to have a some kind of rig to play that. But no, just Dota's very hard to approach. Well,
why not you? Why haven't you switched back to Dota? What's keeping you here?
One is on Switch, so I like playing with a controller. I feel like I'm better at this. And with the 10-minute games, like if something goes bad at the 2-minute mark, well, two reasons. One, I'm not invested in this game for much longer, and then two, I could always just win by taking the Zapdos at the end. So like, that's a bad thing. I will appreciate that second fact is there, but the time investment, it's seriously like, it's right there. And this is still new. There's not all these different heroes right now.
Sure.
Like that's the other part about it, right? I'm talking about homework, but I'm only doing homework for 18 different Pokemon right now. There's like 70 some heroes in Dota to kind of learn and kind of master and be aware of. So I just think,
well, get ready, man. Pokemon's got 800 characters, so when they get them all in there.
Can't wait. But look, they're adding them one at a time. They haven't put out Blastoise yet, but that's seemingly the next Pokemon. I think a data mine revealed Chansey is after the Blastoise.
That sucks.
So yeah. But like, they're gonna keep adding Pokemon, but I'm here at the beginning. I'm learning all of them. So when they add in a new one, you just kind of learn the new one and adjust accordingly. But no, this has legs. I like playing it, despite me complaining more than I probably should be about this game. The menus still suck. There's no excuse for that at all. But I like this game a lot. Excuse. I play this every day.
How could they do Eevee in this game?
They'd probably just each have their own.
I was gonna say you probably have to do a variant, right? Like
either that or you'd put specific Pokemon on the map, and if Eevee attacks that Pokemon, it would absorb it.
Well, remember, when you pick the Pokemon, you're already seeing them at their evolved form. So you would start as Eevee and then go to whatever. So if it was...
maybe you have
they'd
to
have
buy
to say, you're doing Vaporeon, and then you...
Yeah, and then you're evolving into the Vaporeon. I think you can you can do like an Echo Fighter thing where Eevee's base attacks are all the same, but then when you
change
evolve
based on...
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, because then you really don't know if someone goes in as Eevee, what you're up against.
Oh, maybe that's why they don't do it then. Oh, no, well, you see it at the main menu. You would know. Never mind. You can do that then.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They'll probably want you to buy a stone and attach it. And be like,
There
all
you
right, this is how.
No, don't
Mark,
force
final
buying.
question about Pokemon Unite. Should Warner Brothers make a Space Jam ripoff of this?
What?
And in this game, you're dunking on your opponents. You're choosing characters. Could they not do a Space Jam ripoff where you play as the Looney Tunes to go across and dunk and, I don't know, fight Michael Jordan in the middle? Is he the
I don't know.
Zapdos of...
I was going to say, if they do 8-minute games that ignore the Zapdos, he might have me.
I don't know if they should do that. I don't know.
Could you imagine trying to fight LeBron James in the middle? He's just doing like
I don't-
spinning kicks and throwing basketballs at you.
I don't want to imagine that. That's time wasted.
Bugs Bunny going for the dunk. Bugs Bunny takes the LeBron James. Oh man, could you imagine casting that? Wait, no, I want a career casting
See?
LeBron ball. Yeah,
you could probably do a better name than
Space
that,
Jam
but
LeBron ball.
Space Jam Unite. How about that? More free ideas from the Free Cheese Podcast to all these developers out there. When we get back from a break, we're going to talk about more free ideas. We're going to talk about how one company tried to come up with an idea for another company, and it wasn't real. All that and more. Be right back. An internal concept for a McDonald's-themed PlayStation 5 DualSense controller was shared with media last week. Since the initial story broke, McDonald's Australia has confirmed that the image was never intended to be shown, nor was it something that Sony PlayStation was approached in regards to. The original report suggested it would be a promotional tie-in. The controller itself, quite awful looking, but it made me wonder how many mock-ups like this are sitting on somebody's OneDrive for, eventual product pitches, or, someone claiming to work that day, but really they just wanted to mock up a controller.
I don't know, man. This looks better than half the official Zelda controllers Nintendo releases.
I actually don't think it's that hideous looking. I just hate that they threw the official M on the touchpad. I think if you leave that as it is...
Oh, no, that's the best part.
Oh, no, no.
I like the burger, honestly.
I like the burger and fries on the handles. The thing I hate is the M right in the middle of the touchpad.
Do you think it would have been better if the entire touchpad were red and had a yellow M kind of big and emblazoned on it?
Maybe. I think maybe I just hate this small, like the obviously wanted to put the corporate logo somewhere,
right?
Besides the fries.
Yeah, it had to be right. Like, there's already M on there. What are they worried about?
Yeah, that's my thing. I think. No, but like if you made it maybe the whole the golden arches all the way across the pad with a red background, or just it could. I don't know how you want to do it, but I like that idea better. You're welcome, McDonald's, for refining your mock-up when you pitched to Sony.
There's probably like 20-some mock-ups on somebody's OneDrive, I'm sure.
There has to be, right?
Just like minor altered changes to it or something.
What do you think is the best, like, historical corporate tie-in?
I have an answer to this. I just don't know the exact name.
Is it the Mountain Dew Xbox?
Close. Not quite.
I couldn't think of a good one that I remember standing out.
I've included some photographs in our show notes for you guys to just kind of
Refer back
recall
to.
some of the best video game tie-ins. We have the Cup Noodle promotion for Final Fantasy 15, where Noctis could adorn a full Cup Noodle helmet, and there were Cup Noodle themed summons and enemies. While doing some research this week for this exact question, I discovered can't say it out loud. It's a Russell Crowe themed Xbox 360.
When he was,
That's a Gladiator
Is it-
Russell Crowe too.
is it? It looks like Robin Hood.
Yeah,
Oh, it could be either, I guess.
This was apparently created for a charity. So by donating to a certain tier, you were entered into.
That's not even him. It's like a CG render of him.
Yeah, it looks like an airbrush painting
yeah.
that somebody did at a boardwalk on the side of an Xbox.
Oh no.
What are you supposed to do with that? Are you really supposed to look at Russell Crowe's face? I would turn it on its side so I didn't have to look at it, right?
But what's
At
the
least
point
you
of
get,
getting it then? You know?
I mean,
Well,
that's
then you get the
top.
faceplate of just his knuckles, and everyone's like, "Oh, dude, what's your cool Xbox 360 faceplate?" And it's like, "Oh, it's Russell Crowe's knuckles."
Yeah.
That's what
So,
I've got.
does it count as a corporate tie-in if the entire game is based on corporate?
Pepsi Man.
Ooh,
Well, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Doritos Crash Course.
oh man.
Oh, how could I forget about the Sneak King?
That was my next one.
Yeah.
But funny enough,
I think those are the ultimate tie-ins, right?
the next game that I talk about later, there's actually a small corporate tie-in with that one, and I'll just say it deals with Rockstar energy drinks. Oh, you have the Monster.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, the Monster Energy and Death Stranding.
That was pretty good.
Or those dirt bike games.
At least
Sponsored
yeah.
by Monster.
To be fair, though, at least like that's like an actual sponsor of like that type of
Yeah.
field. So like that's not like a horrifyingly awful tying.
Yeah, it's not too far-fetched
Yeah.
like the McDonald's
Oh, this-
controller.
Yeah,
just for the sake
or
of it.
Monster Energy drinks and Death Stranding.
Yeah, the freaking Rockstar one is a weird one.
Do you think they tweak which Monster Energy drink it is in the director's cut? Do you think that's some of the added content that Mr. Kojima has put into his game?
Oh, new cans.
Yeah, they start putting in the Monster Rehab varieties,
Yeah.
so Norman can get his zero
Be chaotic.
calorie game on.
Go chaotic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. I think when I was digging in, I found there was a Taco Bell Xbox One X.
Oh yeah, and if
that-
when you boot it up, it's a different noise. It does the
Yeah.
bell.
Yeah, which that's kind of cool. It was like an actual branded whatever, because they'd done those things before. Like I remember Taco Bell was giving away PS4s and Vitas way back in the day, but it was just to give you the console. Where this was an actual like the design on the outside was different, and it was not ugly. You know, not like this guy here. Although Matt, I've made a correction for you. So
I saw
the
that. Thank you. I
controllers-
actually do appreciate
Yes.
that. Doesn't it look better?
It does look better. Yeah, it's a cleaner look to it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What are your favorite corporate tie-ins or console weird limited editions? Let us know. Podcast at thefreecheese.com. Send us some pictures of if you own any. I would like to see what they look like in person. I can't say that I have anything like that, but I love like the Tommy Hilfiger Game Boy. Just so many weird dumb things like that. Friday, August 6th was the 35th anniversary of Metroid. It launched for the Famicom Disk System, and in October it will have been 3 years since the launch of Starlink Battle for Atlas, which was the last game to release using Toys to Life as a feature. So while Samus should have been DLC for the Switch version of the game, which featured Star Fox characters of course, sales for the game's physical versions were doomed to the discount bin after saturated retail shelves began to liquidate unsold inventory. Prior to Skylanders, the genre had its roots, of course, in Japan, This is dating back all the way to the PlayStation. There's a game called ZXE-D Legend of Phasmalite, which let players combine parts of robot figures to bring them to life on screen in a fighting game. The game was released for PlayStation on December 20th, 1996.
Whoa.
The US would not see an attempt at Toys to Life until 2006, when Mattel released the HyperScam video game system. HyperScam launched... HyperScam. That's... Freudian slip, because I guess of the way this thing actually turned out. The HyperScan launched at $69.99 and included... So you buy the system and you'd buy a game. The games included 6 cards and a game disc for $20. And then in order to access different parts of the game, you needed to buy booster packs to supplement the actual game. Booster packs were $10, and much like regular booster packs, they were random on the inside. So you could potentially buy a video game and not be able to complete it because you haven't bought the right booster pack.
Oh my god.
Mattel would go on to work with Ubisoft, I think. So I had some conflicting reports on this, but in one source, it attributed this to Ubisoft. A game called UB Fun Keys, which I feel like as soon as I saw it, it had Marc written all over it. I don't have a picture of it. I did put a picture just now in our notes of the Japanese Toys to Life game. But yeah, it took about 10 years before we'd see another one with the Mattel HyperScan, where you could kind of scan the cards in to bring them to life. But UB Fun Keys, you had a big guy that plugged in USB style to your computer, a larger representation of one of these little characters, and then you could buy one of 45 different collectible USB toys that you'd plug in, and they would then come to life in the digital game world. They look like the little Tech Deck thumb figures, also like... they look like things you get out of a quarter machine, like the little alien quarter machine bubble guys. And then, of course, we would see Activision revive Spyro the Dragon through its Skylanders property. We watched as Disney, Warner Brothers, and Nintendo entered into the scene. It's a quick, brief peek at Toys. There's not been a ton of Toys to Life games, oddly enough, because it does seem like something that should blend... more. I guess, I don't know. Things have changed so quickly, and this did become an oversaturated market, but I found it odd that it took 10 years for it to try again, for somebody to try it again after that Japanese game, because the Japanese game seems cool. Like, you actually build the robots, you can mix and match the parts, not unlike the Starlink Battle for Atlas ships. My question is, besides the Metroid integration for Star... By the way, we're not talking about Metroid's 35th anniversary, because what are we going to say? We're just talking about Toys to Life. That was the point of this segment here. But besides the Metroid integration for Starlink, which franchise or game do you feel like should have been a Toy to Life?
Transformers?
Yeah, that seems like a pretty obvious one. Like, why did that not happen?
Metabots.
What are Metabots?
I think it's known as Metarot in Japan, but
okay,
it was this like typical kind of shonen like anime, where kids have their robot partners and they fight in robot tournaments, fights, whatnot, and the loser has to give up a part from their robot, and then you can attach it to your robot. So like, if you're fighting somebody who had like a claw arm, they could give that up, and then you get the claw arm for your robot if you want to add it to it. It was like stuff like that. The robots had their own personalities too.
That does seem like something that would work well as a Toys to Life thing.
Yeah, because like the actual toys that you bought, you could actually swap parts already. So that was a cool way to like collect them and stuff. And I think I don't know if it's a property of Bandai or not, but usually around April Fool's, Digimon and that brand like to appear in each other's franchises as an Easter egg.
I feel like Hot Wheels would have been a good one for that. If you put a little like RFID chip or something in, or NFC chip maybe in every Hot Wheels car, and then you could scan them into the game and then race as that.
We didn't mention Lego Dimensions.
I just kind of like softly mentioned that Warner Brothers got into it with Lego was the implication, but you're right. But that also made sense, right? Like a physical toy you play with that you can then bring to life in a game. That made more sense than like Skylanders or the Disney, any of the Amiibo-esque.
Yeah.
Someone should have taken the Evolve 1v4 dungeon thing. Remember creepy crawlers?
Yes, I remember creepy crawlers.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you make some concoctions and throw that in the dungeon for your friends to kind of navigate?
Oh, that would have been a cool mashup. Yes.
That would have been a sticky controller.
No, you put them on a hub. Again, NFC tag, right? So you'd have to you do your Easy Bake Oven part where you actually make the thing, and then you affix a little NFC sticker to the bottom of it. You're making your own, and then you'd probably have to like AR scan it in or something, because you'd be making your own thing, so you'd need to have the physical.
So you have to keep buying the powder and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just gonna have an Etsy account. Get a bag of gummy worms, slap some NFC chips on them.
I'm in, dude.
They're not attached. You can just eat the worms. But here's the NFC chips.
They don't do creepy crawlers anymore, do they?
No.
Hold
on. It took me a second to remember. I had to do some unique Googling because I couldn't remember what it was called. Gross making kids toy ended up getting me there in some way. Hold on.
Okay.
You found a history video. Are creepy crawlers still made? Mattel discontinued the toy in 1978. They gave another try in 92.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, that's probably the one that my sister had. That makes sense.
It'll come back.
Yeah, safety concerns, I think, were like any Easy Bake Oven. Like, kids can burn their hand.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Maybe, like, don't teach your kid to be not an idiot. You know what I mean? Check that out.
I just think it was a good life lesson. Don't touch a hot thing.
That too. That's literally, when I was a kid and I finally was tall enough to reach the stove, I said, "What is that? That's hot. Don't touch it." Well, what happens if I touch something hot? That hurts really bad. It was a dumb thing to do. It made me dumber, but then it made me smarter because I knew not to touch hot stuff.
You know what? I think miniatures would be a good way to incorporate like a digital version. So like if you were playing like Dungeons and Dragons or something, right? Mm-hmm. Or like HeroClix, but you wanted to play like online with friends, instead of having to do tabletop simulator mods, have like a own dedicated software, have a chip in the figure.
Yep.
Boom.
Dude, every time I bought HeroClix back in the day and we would play that, I always wished for a video game version where I could scan in my figure. Same thing, like I think the HyperScan is probably not a bad idea. Like conceptually, it's a hot mess. I put a picture of it in our show notes for you guys to see. But I mean, for the listeners at home, it's like I remember finding one of these in like a flea market bin. It's the controller looks like Mattel made it, which they did. The console itself looks like someone's like discarded CD binder.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And like you lay the cards down and scan it. So like it's awful. But conceptually speaking, the idea of like if I went to Target and bought Pokemon cards and then brought them home and scanned them to put them in my game, like that's not crazy. That's a pretty cool idea. I don't know. It's well, more on Toys to Life and other things in the future. Happy anniversary to Metroid. Many happy returns. Hopefully this is the beginning of a long celebration for Metroid. But moreover than that, I started celebrating Sega this week because Jupiter, developers behind the popular Picross series, have released Picross S, Genesis, and Master System Edition. It's funny, like up until release, this had been referred to as Mega Drive and Mark III Edition, and then we finally got the US release, so they localized the names. So, Picross, I can zip through a Picross puzzle in no time, right? And indefinitely. I will play Picross forever. You put out a Picross game on a platform, I'm going to buy it. And I think the way that Jupiter has continued to refine the gameplay, they make it easy to navigate the board quickly. They make it super, like, second nature to just clear a page's worth of puzzles, 15 puzzles in a couple of minutes. In this edition, the bonus, besides the fact that you're putting together preschool flashcards of apples and cars and pencils, you're getting Sega properties on screen, right? This time it's a shuriken from the Shinobi game. It's an apple from Streets of Rage. That's that kind of stuff that you're putting together. I guess the apple still kind of, but there's Picross is funny. If you've never played a Picross or never got the hook of Picross, there's multiple levels and layers of satisfaction. There's a feeling you get when you complete a single line, when you feel that, like, I did it. The numbers say to do this. I did that. Look at that line. Right? There's part one. Then you get the bonus release when you have this kind of like cluster in a corner where you're like, what am I supposed to do here? And you start cross-comparing cells and you're like, I do this. Oh, look at that. I got multiple lines that are now intersecting. And you're starting to see the picture come together, but you're also starting to see the numbers fade to gray because you've completed a piece of that. And you get this little bonus of endorphin release. Then you complete puzzles, right? You complete the puzzle. There's no fault in your completion. You've done it. Here it is. But then there's that final little bit where it just goes from black and white pixels to the actual color sprite. And that's just like, boom. So many layers down in satisfaction. This one stacks that because you're also seeing all of your favorite Sega stuff come to life. So what they've done is they've got a ton of puzzles. There's like 10 pages of 15 puzzles each. And every time you complete a row, which is 5 of puzzles, you get a clip. And every time you complete a page, you get another clip. These clips are random size puzzles. So it might be a 10 by 15. It might be a 3 by 2. It might be a 25 by 5. They're kind of all over the place in shapes and sizes. And that's a separate mode on the main menu where you can play through the clip puzzles. And you're putting together one gigantic picture in the end. So there's Mega Picross, which are like huge, gigantic, 50 by 50 or whatever. And then there's a Color Picross, which I haven't messed with yet. But, you have some options there. Like we talked about last week when they announced the release date, there's 480 puzzles in total for this game. It rules. It is the best Picross has been. The trade-off, which is surprising to me, considering this is a Sega game, and that it's a Sega Genesis and Master System game, is that there's 5 tracks. And they're from arcade games. Which is fine. They're great. Look, Sega's always had stellar music. Like, just really solid jams you can slap to. But the problem is, like, that jam will loop and then come to its natural conclusion. And then it just starts back over. Like, it fades to silent for a second and then kicks back in, starting the track over. Where if we had, like, I don't know, 40 Genesis tracks just to cycle through automatically or randomly. I even went into the settings to see, like, can I just take all of the background music tracks and just shuffle them at random? No. You can choose one of the background tracks per puzzle type. So by default, they have one for regular Picross, one for Mega, one for so. But otherwise, yeah, that's what you're working with. Other than that, dude, it's a fantastic game. I think it's $9.99 and worth every penny. I knocked out the first page of puzzles, I think, in literally like 4 minutes, and then the time's gone up since then because they're not as simple as like little 5x5s. But yeah, it's good.
The music thing, right? It's the fact that they didn't put it in, but that's easily solvable by some kind of playlist that you find, whether Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, whatever, right? Just throw in headphones.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like a lot of times doing these puzzles, I'm doing it, silently with music off and holding it in my hand while I'm watching something or falling asleep or something. But, having it up on the TV and just kind of slapping to it, it was, it got to the point. But at the same time, the songs are so good that when they do loop back over, you're like, this again. You know what I mean? Like, it's good. It's very good.
You got me. So it was a twofold. It was like some bad news, but then good news. I didn't purchase this yet, but on Thursday, I believe, we were logging on right at the same time. I got onto Unite, and I saw your little Dracula's online. Yeah. I was like, oh, he's hopping to play some Pokemon post-patch, seeing what's up. And I was like, all right, yeah. And then I saw you weren't playing Unite. I was like, well, fuck. I guess I'm still soloing. But I was like, oh, right, the Picross game. I'm going to pick that up when I'm not in the middle of, like, 3 different things right now.
Yeah, I didn't want to buy it because I'm in the middle of so many things, but I was like, I can't not do it. So it's been good, and it's been something where, like, in between, jumping from one game to the other, I'm like, I'm going to take a Picross break. You know what I mean? It's super good. So that is out now for Nintendo Switch. Buy it if you like Picross or Sega or both, or, I think it's very, very good. Very, very good indeed. Mark, how is Mad Max? How much Sega music is in that game?
None at all.
Yeah.
Because it's seems like I just had a Warner Brothers week.
Yeah.
Seems,
drinking the Warner Brothers lemonade there.
It was randomly on sale, so I picked it up for like $5. I was like, I've seen people praise this game, but I've also seen why people didn't like it, and I wanted to see for myself. And then about 15 hours in, I found myself liking it.
All right.
Is this a thing where, like, whoops, it's been 15 hours and I love this, or you played it with hate and then at the 15th hour you're like, wait a second, I like this?
So this wasn't like all in one sitting or anything like that. This was multiple days throughout the week. Like, you know what? I want to play Mad Max again. So it was all very deliberate, and it's a very simple game. And I think that is probably why I like it. It's solid though. Like so the beginning's a little. I could see how that would deter people for sure. A lot of the game is just, hey, here's this green dot, go to it, do thing, repeat. It is just essentially that. But the way it handles that, you start to discover where they put more effort into this game, and then where it lacks because of it. A lot of their effort is appropriately in the cars. So this is your typical third-person open-world game. You're basically just going along this huge desert map and trying to appease different factions by doing these little missions for them and kind of doing your own shit along the way. So there's your car you can upgrade, and there's obviously Max you can upgrade. I'll start with Max. That seems a little more simple, I feel. So throughout the map, you will find different icons to go to between missions at whatever time you want. And it's usually like, go to this one little area, collect scraps. That's like the currency for everything in this game. And find resources like water to fill up your canteen, because that's how you replenish health. You drink water. You can find just random collectibles throughout the game that kind of doesn't really give lore, but it acts like it gives lore. Just times before shit went down to be in an apocalypse. You fight bandits in hideouts. They can be underground caverns. They can be these weird towers, what have you, or just along the road. And this part, the combat. So I've learned Warner Brothers is good with their combat. Because Lord of the Rings was Warner Brothers, right? Arkham games, Warner Brothers. This is like I haven't played a Lord of the Rings game, but I know that combat is pseudo similar to Assassin's Creed, probably, but a little more tuned well, I think.
They kind of ape the Arkham style.
The Arkham, yeah. So this did too.
Oh, good.
Like Max fucks shit up. Like when you beat up somebody, it feels good. Like you do your combos, and he's very like aware of his surroundings. So similar to like Arkham or like the more recent Splinter Cells, when you take down a character, it uses the surroundings a little bit. But yeah, like you can mash X, beat the shit out of people. You can aim all around you. You can prepare for a counter. The enemy will have like a little button prompt like, oh, get ready to time it. And you could do a perfect parry or an early parry, doesn't matter. But as you progress with that combat, you can do more with it, like different types of finishers, different types of attacks. You can collect shivs, and you can do shiv finishers. So like once I like knock someone down, I hit A, and I just fucking like I will like stab them in their leg, then stab them in their throat, like underneath their jaw, and just throw them down. You go into like a rage mode after you do enough combos, and all your hits are just massive damage. To where like so you can keep mashing X, but you can hold in X for your stronger charged attacks. And depending on what you're doing, that changes too. So I could be like sprinting towards somebody, holding X, I will like shoulder bash them. I can drop kick somebody, I can pick them up, suplex them. I can mash them into a wall, bash your head on a car. Like, it's awesome. Like, man, this Max should be a Mortal Kombat guest character.
Oh, why didn't they do that?
And then you have your like sawed-off shotgun with you the entire time as well, so you can use that to your advantage. You can use the weapons that they're using on you. You can parry.
Does that kind of like flow like you would kind of like put a Batarang into the combat mix, where you just kind of like pop shot?
You probably could. The only thing is that like it's not as fluid as Arkham. I think Arkham is top tier. This isn't too far. It's still doable. But
I've the 10 hours or so I played at Mad Max. I definitely like it was fun.
Yeah.
It just felt. I think I just came off Arkham like not too long before then too, and it was like the timing was just off on it being like super fluid. It was still fun though.
Yeah. So I could see where like what they were trying to do with it, and like it works, but. It definitely could use a little more polish for sure, but yeah, just because of the way he is, I accept his like very basic yet savage fighting style, and I'm all for it. So that it is fun once you're able to pull all that off. There are like boss fights as well. Not too hard. So there's that. The car, that stuff. Man, there's a lot of customization here. You can pick different body parts. You can upgrade almost every part of this car, and it also dictates the stats of your car depending on what you're changing. You always had this little like hunchback dude with you named Chum Bucket. He's the one that like fixes your car. So like if you were, he's always in the back of your car. So like whenever you're like if you're fighting other cars or whatever, and you're getting damaged or something, you can like try to stop somewhere, and he will like jump onto the hood of your car and start like taking a wrench and start fixing your car so the health meter goes back up.
It's kind of automated. You don't have to like tell him like, "Yo, get up." He just
if you get out of the car, he will automatically do it. But if you just hold up on the D-pad, you can tell him like,
"Oh, cool,"
like get to it, and he'll start working on it.
Little R2D2.
Yeah, and you also have like a harpoon. So like he shoots the harpoon for you like while you're driving, and that can like pull off the armored like doors off of cars, or it can pull the driver out of the car immediately and just yank them across. It gets very Twisted Metal the more you upgrade the car. You can just add spikes and shit on it, different bumper stuff, different like spikes on the front of the car, flamethrowers shooting out the sides of it, spikes on the tires to grind the other cars if you're running into them. There's like those little techniques where like if you have like a nitrous boost or something, you can like whip your car and like bash them like F-Zero style. Yeah, and then a lot of these cars have like fuel tanks on the back, so you can like just real quick just like shotgun out the window and boom, explode the car, and
that sounds
scraps.
Like a lot of fun. I don't know what's the bad part of this.
I think the bad part would just be for people who just like it's probably just very repetitive and like
all right,
the mission might tell you to like find something, but you don't really have to find it. You just got to go to the marker and boom, there it is. Unless like you find a location that like, maybe it's like a little like bandit camp or something. It won't count as 100% looted until you have found like however remaining scraps are in there. Those aren't marked. You have to find out yourself. There are a lot of the goals for these maps is to destroy everything so that the main villain that you're trying to take down, his name is Scrotus.
Good name. Very good name.
Like you fight him in the very beginning as like a tutorial, and then like there's like a cutscene where like you take a chainsaw to his head, but he's still alive. He didn't go like all the way down, just like kind of like partially into the top of his skull. He had an attack dog, but he ends up becoming your dog, and he sniffs out mines for you, so you can defuse them. I think Chumbucket calls him Dinky D, because there are dog food cans that you can find throughout the map and eat for health, and they're called Dinky D with a dog on them. You can also eat maggots. But yeah, it's just a lot of like go in here, destroy the stuff, find a thing, move on. It's a very like checklist, like paint by numbers kind of game, and like if you're okay with that, sure, you know, like it's a very generic open world game in that sense. But I think it does it pretty well with the stuff that is generic. But the combat, I think, is where it excels the most, and how you customize your car. Like it's so cool how they handle that, and I'm surprised I'm still playing it. This far in, I didn't know what to expect from it.
My prop, like, I don't hate this game. I just think it's like average. I think
okay.
it's fine, right?
Yeah.
But my problem with the game, I guess twofold. But you already said the one. It's like it's just generic, and I'm not attached to the Mad Max property in any specific way that I'm like finding all these little Easter eggs.
Yeah.
So everything just felt like a generic desert whatever, which is like my second point. I just felt like getting to the Ubisoft checklist open world stuff, it's all desert and there's nothing there, which is almost exactly the same problem that I have at Rage 2, where once I'm in combat, I'm having fun. It's everything in between those sections just felt boring and lifeless and like there was not much to do. The thing that I liked about this game, more so than Rage 2, well, I guess I didn't get far enough in Rage 2 to really start to see it, but the car combat in this game was like the thing that differentiated it for me from anything else, and I did enjoy doing that. It was just, all right, what else do I have to do to get to the next thing? All right, well then I'm doing that check. Yeah. It was just very checklisty, but yeah, no, like the Arkham combat, the car combat, just like being in combat and doing the action set pieces in this game are great. It's just, what else you got?
Do you think that with like your Back for Blood and Mad Max that Contraband seems more alluring at this point? That's that new one announced by this team at Xbox's E3.
Yeah, and I think Avalanche did Mad Max.
They did.
Yeah.
That
had you played the Just Cause games or anything?
I only played a little bit of like Just Cause 3. But
yeah,
it was like,
I think I got that one for PlayStation Plus a long time ago, and like did enough to like zip line into the air, and then said, "Oh, okay, I'll go do something else now."
Yeah, it was just like multiplayer stuff. I think that I tried, but I don't know. Yeah, Mad Max is definitely going to be like a preferred taste if you like that setting and whatever. And I do like that like desert wasteland, as boring as it is. There's still something I like about it. You can do like mini games too. Like there's these like death races you can do, and depending on the area that you find them, each one is like a different type of race, but it's all essentially kind of the same thing. Get to the finish line before your car explodes. The only shitty thing about that is if you don't have a lot of cars as an option, you have to pick like one of their cars to pick from for that race, and usually they suck. And if you don't upgrade your shotgun, it's going to be a hard time, because a lot of these cars you just want to shoot immediately, so you have nothing to deal with when you get to the finish line, or else they'll just stop you, and that can get annoying. But yeah, like stuff like taking out convoys that are transporting like big things of like gasoline between these like, or oil between like these oil camps. Those are the most challenging part, I think, for me, traversing, because the big convoy you want to take down, it takes a couple shots, but it's surrounded by like 5 cars that are all armored and spikes, and they're trying to like fight you and run you off too. So it's really cool how they managed to make that work in like all these areas. And I'm this far in, and I feel like I upgraded a lot, but there's still like a lot of this map I still have to like unlock and discover. So I'm kind of impressed by that, by how big this is. But at the same time, like Matt said, if you don't like desert shit,
it's a lot of that.
It's a lot of sand. It's a lot, yeah. But yeah, I like it.
We're gonna close out this week with a question. Last week, the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters released for Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3. And while we wait for font patches and releases on other platforms, we look at Final Fantasy historically for the first time. I started playing Final Fantasy 3. I really did want to get the Pixel remaster, but the font stuff is a bummer, and the only workaround is there's font patching you can do via Steam, but I don't want to play that game on my computer, and I don't want to play the game on my phone. And then I thought about it more, and I said, why don't I just patch the Famicom game with an English patch and play it on the Mister? So that's where I'm at. And it's cool. Final Fantasy 3 has really, really rad battle music and overworld music. The Onion Knight is quite the character that all 4 of your party members start out as. But looking a little bit past 3, and eventually we'll get 4, 5, and 6 pixel remasters, and who knows, maybe they'll demake 7, 8, 9, 10.
Well, you're already getting the 7 demake.
I mean pixel style. You know?
The D demake then.
Yeah, exactly. But thinking about Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy did a unique thing where they put out Dissidia. There's been 3 of these games. The Dissidia, well, I guess 4 if you count the mobile one, but these games have the main protagonists or antagonists of Final Fantasy series kind of team up in a story. So which franchise needs its own Dissidia?
Needs it.
I think these games are a hot mess, to be honest.
Okay, so conceptually though, right? Like, don't think about the final product, but the concept of it is the main protagonists from all eras of Final Fantasy meet up because the god of order and the god of chaos come together and they are going to destroy whatever. They're warring, and now you're stuck in the... The story makes no sense. But here's the thing about Dissidia that you can't deny is they take it very seriously in the story, right? Like, they want you to believe that this matters and this is important and that all the characters being there is important. And you get to play... The other unique thing is it's not a traditional RPG like the rest of these games. You know, even though like the most recent like core Dissidia game, not the arcade one, but the other one on PSP that incorporated lightning, which Final Fantasy 13 has, kind of an evolution of the battle system in a way, right? But even still, Dissidia is its own battle system. So I think like looking at it that way, right? Like defining Dissidia as a crossover that takes itself seriously, that allows for different gameplay styles and interaction with characters you otherwise wouldn't get. Which franchise needs its own Dissidia?
I mean, this is in my wheelhouse, so it's not a surprising answer, but I honestly think that Ninja Turtles could benefit from something like this and shine light on some mutants that haven't really been in the spotlight, or introduce some new ones.
Now, would you want to see each iteration of the Turtles? Like, hey, here's the 80s cartoon, here's the 2000s cartoon, here's the Platinum Games version.
Cosmetic only. I don't want actually 2 Leonardos
you don't want Sonic
talking to each
Generations.
other.
Yeah, okay.
No. Yeah. Cosmetic.
So then
only.
you would not like one of my answers for this, which is The Legend of Zelda. Where you have all of these...
This is a little different because because of that damn timeline.
Yeah.
This isn't just a hey, they are just rebooting the franchise in a way, but at the same time,
yeah.
Each one does matter. They do affect the other one, so having these links interact does make sense to me. They even did it in Twilight Princess, technically. So that's really not. It's already kind of happened. Plus, you've had 4 swords, so you had 4 the same link in one.
Yeah, that's true.
In one thing. So no, yeah, I could see that working. It would be weird about the Master Sword.
They all have one.
For the most part, yeah. Like there might be 2 that don't.
Maybe that's the story. Look here. Okay, here it is.
Yeah, that may be.
Ganon has combined with all of the other Ganons. He's now met up with the Ganondorf, the small pig, the big pig.
I was about to say that's just been one Ganon the entire time.
Oh yeah, okay. So that's been the one Ganon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's here, and then all of the links have to come together to recover the Master Sword. This makes sense.
We need the best link.
Yeah. Matt, which franchise needs its own Dissidia?
Just based off the ridiculous storyline, I think one person could make a very ridiculous already storyline, make it work somehow in the Metal Gear franchise by Mr. Hideo Kojima. Because you got all your snakes, right? You got Old Snake, Venom Snake, Naked Snake, Solid Snake, Big Boss, who is pretty much Venom Snake and Naked Snake. But anyway, you got all the snakes. And then you got these plethora of bosses from all these Metal Gear games that are all awesome. Like, don't forget Fat Man from Metal Gear Solid 2, just a dude who plants bombs on rollerblades. Like, come on, I'm gonna play as him.
Yeah.
Would this game feature DLC?
Yeah, it's gonna be the Silent Hill crossover, like they did in Survive.
Well, I was gonna say we have Metal Gear Rising DLC or Death Stranding DLC.
Oh, yes. My obvious answer was Castlevania, but I feel like it not unlike the Zelda one, right? Like you have Dracula.
Oh, Judgment
the ultimate.
Exists.
Yeah, but like Judgment was more the fighting game. I want like a big story adventure where they all come together to fight Dracula.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool actually.
That'd be a fun one. And I think Fire Emblem also, which Fire Emblem Warriors kind of does that in a way. I guess Hyrule Warriors kind of does the Zelda thing in a way. You're not getting too many links, but although there should be more than one link.
Should be.
Did they put Linkle in that Age of Calamity yet?
You're not going to see Linkle in that.
All right.
I wish, but you won't.
All right, fair enough. If you've got an idea for which franchise needs its own Dissidia, you can email it to us, podcast@thefreecheese.com. You could tweet it at us. Somebody will maybe see it. @somefreecheese. While you're on Twitter, you can follow Mark @aug_mental and Matt @MattyIce131. We'll be back next week with another show. Until then, what are you guys getting into for the week of August 9th?
I'm going to be back for Blood.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going
to check out that open beta this weekend.
I think I'm playing an open beta as well. I've been chunking away at Dark Souls 2. It's funny because I don't have to talk about it because Joe's experience is just my experience. Go to a boss that I feels like I shouldn't be here yet, so I start going to other bonfires and run in different directions to see what happens. And then Pokémon Unite, man, like I gotta master another character. I just don't know who yet.
Who will it be?
Oh, I'm so sorry. The weird corporate thing in Mad Max. You can get.
I meant to ask that. Thank you.
So when you take down these big convoys, you can take their trophy as and wear it on the hood of your car or on the back of your car. But you get these 2 unlocked from the beginning that are Rockstar energy drink themed. You can have a skull with 3 cans hanging from its mouth, or you can have the giant Rockstar logo star as a hood ornament. So I had the skull with the 3 cans up in front.
Do you think that's DLC that they just gave away for free after the promotion ended? And it originally was like, yo, you got to scratch the tab to get the tab?
It was probably some code, they put in from a can or something. I don't know why it's there. It's so weird.
I don't know. I can see that being there from the beginning. I don't know.
That too.
That game didn't get much press when it came out. It just kind of came out and kind of flew under the radar. But I just remember, honestly, the biggest person that was vocal about that game was, I mean, say what you want to about him, but Colin Moriarty on like Podcast Beyond and P.S. I Love You back in the day. He was just very high on that game. That's what made me play it when it was on sale for $5 like 2 years later.
I think I have that through like a Humble Bundle or something and just never played it.
Had on PS3.
But yeah,
that's that old? It was a PS3 game?
Think so. I'm not crazy, right?
Whoa, dude. It does not feel that long ago, but I guess so.
Forgot that Rockstar.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Souls is the name of the game.
I'm way off. It's PS4. Sorry.
Was that 2015?
2015.
Yeah, Dark Souls. Final Fantasy 3 is a very good Final Fantasy that I did not expect to be as good as it is. So I'm having fun with that one in its original form. And I've still Dracula X. The whole game, the PC Engine stuff is a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, that is going to do it for us. Thank you, listener, for listening. Thank you. Wait, I did that backwards. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. We'll see you next week with another episode. Until then, have a great week. Play some video games. Goodbye.